The first whisper, 3:07 a.m. A wet, papery rasp like rotten leaves breathed into my ear. Mine. I froze. Stale air thick with old candy, damp earth. Eyes strained in the gloom, shelves of colorful vinyl toys, all stared blankly, except Labubu. Grin wider, sharper, eyes too deep. I didn't leave it there, perched high, pointing at my bed. The rasp came again, closer. Soon. My name is Maya, and collecting designer vinyl toys, Labubus, Moolies, the whole Tokidoki menagerie, was my joy, my escape from a monotonous data entry job. My tiny apartment is a kaleidoscope of them, shelves lining every wall. The haunted Labubu arrived last Tuesday, a limited graveyard mistake edition I snagged online for a steal, ignoring the seller's cryptic warning. It prefers quiet places and attention. It looked unique, even for Labubu, a slightly murkier gray vinyl, its oversized teeth filed to unnervingly sharp points in the sculpt, and a single, almost invisible, dark smudge like dried blood beneath its left eye. I placed it proudly on the central shelf. At first, it was just odd feelings, a chill near its shelf, the faint smell of burnt sugar where none existed. Unease settled like dust. I told myself it was buyer's remorse, overactive imagination. I was wrong. The subtle shifts began on day 3. I'd leave the room certain Labubu was facing forward, only to return and find its head tilted slightly, those blank white orbs seemingly tracking my movement across the cramped living space. My other toys felt inert, plastic. Labubu felt watchful. One evening, microwaving leftovers, I caught its reflection in the dark kitchen window. It wasn't on the shelf. It was reflected on the countertop, impossibly close to the knife block. Whipping around, my heart hammering. It was back on the shelf. Just plastic. Just my mind, right? Sleep became elusive. I'd jolt awake, convinced I heard faint clicking, like tiny vinyl joints moving. Checking the shelf with my phone flashlight revealed nothing out of place, except, was that smudge under its eye darker, larger, like a spreading bruise? One night, exhausted, I left my favorite casing-lung dragon near Labubu. In the morning, the dragon lay face down on the carpet. One delicate wing snapped clean off. Labubu sat perfectly centered, its sharp-toothed grin unmistakably smug. A cold knot tightened in my stomach. This wasn't imagination. This was malice, tiny, vinyl malice. And it was just getting started. The whispers started subtly, not words at first, just sounds. The scrape of tiny feet on laminate flooring when I was alone, a faint, wet sigh from the toy shelf when the room was silent. Then came the scratches. 3 thin parallel lines appeared on the back of my hand one morning, stinging like paper cuts. I hadn't been near anything sharp. The next night, I woke choking. The air reeked of decay, thick and sweet like forgotten fruit rotting under a hot sun. Labubu sat on my bedside table, inches from my face. I hadn't put it there. Its painted eyes seemed to drink the weak moonlight filtering through the blinds. I screamed, flinging it across the room. It hit the wall with a dull thunk and landed upright, unharmed, grinning. That's when the first clear word hissed from the darkness near the floor. Mine. Panic seized me. I grabbed the doll, its vinyl strangely cold and yielding, like old skin. I shoved it deep into the back of the hall closet, behind winter coats and old boxes, slamming the door. Silence descended, thick and heavy. Relief flooded me, shaky but real. I spent the day cleaning, trying to erase its presence. That night, exhausted, I collapsed into bed. As I drifted off, a familiar, papery rasp breathed directly into my ear from the pillow beside me. Warm here. It was back. Not just back, but closer, on my pillow. Its touch. The whispers grew bolder, more frequent. Always that same rotten leaf voice. Play, stay, see. I became a ghost in my own home, jumping at shadows, sleeping with lights on, which only made the whispers angrier, harsher. My other toys started suffering. A cactus friend found decapitated, a Molly doll's face smeared with what looked like black grease. My collection, my sanctuary, was becoming a graveyard. I tried research. Haunted Labubu yielded nothing but forum jokes. Desperate, I found the seller's email. Get rid of it. Burn it. Don't let it touch you again. It feeds. Then the account was deleted. Feeding? On what? My fear? My sanity? I bought sage, holy water, the whole desperate kit. As I lit the sage bundle, thick smoke curling, Labubu sat on the coffee table. Its head slowly tilted. The smudge under its eye pulsed, dark as a fresh bruise. A low, guttural growl, utterly alien and terrifying, vibrated from its tiny form, making the table tremble. The sage smoke recoiled, twisting away from it, like a living thing repelled. The holy water sizzled and evaporated before it even left the bottle when I tried to sprinkle it. My pathetic arsenal was useless. The growl deepened into a wet chuckle. Mine. It wasn't just claiming the apartment anymore. It was claiming me. The physical manifestations escalated. I woke with deep, aching bruises on my arms, shaped like tiny, grasping hands. The smell of decay was constant now, clinging to my clothes, my hair. Sleep was impossible. Exhaustion made the world swim. Labubu was always there. On the fridge when I opened it, peeking from behind the shower curtain, staring from the rearview mirror of my car. The whispers became a constant, maddening soundtrack inside my head. No escape. Almost time. Hungry. One afternoon, trapped in the apartment by a torrential rainfall, I snapped. I grabbed Labubu, its vinyl shockingly cold and squirming faintly in my grip. "What do you want?" I screamed, shaking it. Its painted eyes seemed to focus, locking onto mine with terrifying sentience. The air crackled. The single overhead bulb exploded in a shower of sparks, plunging the room into near darkness only lit by the storm outside. In that strobing flash, Labubu's mouth didn't just grin, it moved. The sharp vinyl lips peeled back further than possible, revealing rows of needle-like black teeth in a dark, gaping maw. A voice, no longer a whisper, but a guttural, multi-layered shriek, erupted directly into my mind. "Your silence! Your final breath!" I dropped it, scrambling back, my back hitting the wall. It landed on its feet, always on its feet. It took one deliberate, clicking step towards me in the gloom, its eyes glowing with a sickly, internal yellow light. The rain lashed the windows like frantic claws. There was nowhere to run.
Flight instinct kicked in. I bolted past the doll, a tiny, dark shape already moving unnaturally fast in the peripheral strobe of lightning. I slammed my bedroom door, fumbling with the flimsy lock. Thuds hit the wood immediately, not heavy, but rapid, relentless, like dozens of tiny fists pounding. "Let in!" the shrieking voice demanded inside my head, vibrating my teeth. I shoved a dresser against the door, my breath ragged sobs. The pounding stopped. Silence, thick, ominous. Then, scratching. A slow, deliberate scraping sound moving down the outside of the door, towards the gap underneath. I watched, frozen in horror, as a thin, gray, segmented vinyl finger, impossibly long and jointed, curled under the door. It probed the carpet like a blind worm. Another finger joined it. They began to pry. The gap widened. A sliver of darkness beneath the door became a view of the hallway floor and two pinpricks of glowing yellow light staring back at me. It was flattening itself, squeezing. The dresser scraped an inch as the door was forced inward. A high-pitched, chittering laugh echoed from the hallway. My eyes darted to the bedroom window. Second floor. Risky, but maybe. I wrenched it open, the cold rain soaking me instantly. I glanced back. The door buckled. A gray, grinning face, distorted and stretched thin, began to slide through the gap. Those yellow eyes fixed on mine with pure, predatory hunger. The chittering rose to an excited crescendo. It was almost through. I didn't hesitate. I threw myself out the window. Thorns ripped at my clothes. Wet branches slapped my face as I crashed down into the overgrown bushes below. Pain flared in my ankle, sharp and sickening. I scrambled up, limping desperately into the rain-lashed street, not daring to look back. My car. I had to reach my car. The streetlights cast long, writhing shadows. Every shape looked like it could be it. Every rustle of wet leaves sounded like tiny, clicking steps. I fumbled with my keys, soaked fingers slipping. The lock clicked open. I dove inside, slamming the door and hitting the locks. Safe. For a moment, I just sat there, shivering violently, rain blurring the windshield. Then, movement. In the rearview mirror, a small gray shape perched perfectly centered on my back seat. Labubu, grinning. Its yellow eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Home, it whispered wetly inside my skull. I screamed, a raw sound torn from my throat. I jammed the key, twisted. The engine roared to life. I slammed the accelerator, tires screeching on wet pavement. I drove blindly, rain hammering the roof, not caring where, just away. Glancing frantically in the mirror, the back seat was empty. Had I imagined it? Relief warred with terror. I slowed, taking a shuddering breath. That's when I felt it. A cold, vinyl pressure against the back of my neck, a papery rasp vibrating against my skin. Drive faster! Panic detonated in my chest. I swerved violently, trying to dislodge the cold weight clinging to my neck. Labubu's arms snaked around my throat, vinyl fingers digging in like icy needles. Its foul breath, decay and burnt sugar filled the car. Stop fighting, it gurgled, the voice thick and wet inside my mind. I couldn't breathe. Spots danced before my eyes. I slammed the brakes. The car skidded sideways on the slick road, tires screaming, and lurched to a stop, half on the shoulder, half in the ditch. The impact threw me forward, the seatbelt locking painfully across my chest. The grip on my neck vanished. Gasping, choking, I clawed at the seatbelt release. I had to get out. I stumbled from the car into the torrential downpour. I was miles from town, on a deserted back road flanked by dense skeletal woods. Lightning flashed, illuminating the swaying trees like grasping giants. Thunder boomed, shaking the ground. Where was it? I spun, scanning the muddy ditch, the dark interior of my car. Nothing. The rain plastered my hair to my face, icy cold. Silence pressed in, broken only by the drumming rain and my frantic gasps. Had I lost it? A flicker of movement near the car's front tire. Labubu stood there, rain bouncing off its gray vinyl, untouched. It raised one stubby arm, pointing past me, deeper into the woods. Its head tilted, the yellow eyes pulsed. A low, inviting chuckle echoed in the downpour. This way. Run. That was the only thought. Not towards where it pointed, into those hungry woods, but away, back towards town, towards lights, people, anything. I turned, slipping in the mud, and scrambled up the embankment to the road. My ankles screamed in protest, threatening to buckle. I limped run, each step agony, the rain blinding me. I didn't look back. I daredn't. The road stretched endlessly ahead, swallowed by darkness and rain. My breath came in ragged, tearing sobs. How long had I been running? Minutes? Hours? My lungs burned. My ankle felt like shattered glass. I risked a glance over my shoulder. The road was empty, just rain and darkness. Had I outrun it? Hope, fragile and desperate, flickered. Then a sound cut through the downpour. Not behind me, ahead. A rhythmic click, 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 like tiny vinyl feet hitting wet asphalt.
I skidded to a stop, heart hammering against my ribs. Standing in the middle of the road, maybe 50 feet ahead, illuminated by a distant lightning flash, was Labubu, waiting. Impossible. It couldn't be. I hadn't passed it. Its yellow eyes fixed on me. It raised its arm again, not pointing, but beckoning, a slow, deliberate crook of its tiny finger. Come. The voice was inside me, cold and final. I looked left, woods. Right? Woods. Behind me, only darkness. Ahead, only it. The rain felt like icy tears. There was nowhere left to run. The woods were no longer an option. They were the only cover. With a sob of pure despair, I plunged off the road into the suffocating black embrace of the trees.
The woods swallowed me whole. Branches tore at my skin like claws. Thorns snagged my clothes, holding me back. Every root threatened to trip my ruined ankle. The downpour lessened under the canopy, replaced by a dripping, oppressive silence broken only by my panicked gasps and the frantic thudding of my heart. I pushed deeper, seeking any landmark, any light. The trees felt ancient, malevolent, their gnarled branches reaching for me. Then the whispers started again. Not just one voice now, hundreds. Tiny, papery voices rustling from the leaves above, sighing from the rotting logs below, echoing from the dark hollows of trees. Maya, stay, feed us. They swirled around me, a suffocating chorus of decay. I stumbled into a small moonlit clearing and froze. Dozens of them, Labubus, gray, sharp-toothed, yellow-eyed, perched on branches, peering from behind mossy stones, standing sentinel on rotting stumps, all identical to mine, all watching me with that same predatory hunger. Mine stood in the center, its bruise-like smudge pulsing black. It opened its impossible maw, the needle teeth glinting. The chorus of whispers coalesced into a single, deafening command inside my skull. Silence. The doll lunged, not at my body, but through the air, a gray blur aimed straight for my open, screaming mouth. The impact wasn't physical. It was an icy vacuum, a scream ripped inward instead of out. My vision tunneled, the clearing, the watching dolls blurring into streaks of gray and black. The last thing I saw wasn't the forest. It was my own apartment, viewed from the highest shelf. Sunlight streamed onto my collection. Below, slumped motionless on the couch, phone dangling from her limp hand, was me. Pale, cold, eyes wide and unseeing. A perfect, gray, Labubu doll with a single dark smudge sat on the coffee table, facing the couch. Its grin looked satisfied. Then the image vanished, replaced by an endless silent blackness, not empty, occupied, by the rustling whispers, the cloying stench of decay, and the chilling, eternal awareness of dozens of tiny, hungry yellow eyes waiting in the plastic dark. The silence is complete now. It's their silence, and they are always watching, always waiting, always hungry.